What is up people, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to review the APW-1 Anti-Materiel Rifle in Helldivers 2. This recently got a buff in the update patch 01.000.200, where it received a damage increase of 30%.
Nice.
To purchase this stratagem, go into ship management and head over to stratagems. It's the second one available then in the Patriotic Administration Center section. The description reads as follows: a high caliber sniper rifle effective over long distances against light vehicle armor. This rifle must be aimed down scope. For stats, it's got a call-in time of 3 seconds, unlimited uses, and a cooldown time of 480 seconds. It's a support weapon, costs 5,000 requisition credits, and is unlocked at level 2. In terms of what this gun comes with, it has 6 magazines, each one comes with 7 rounds each, and it also has a 50 meter, 100 meter, and 200 meter scope. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into the review. I'm going to discuss pros and cons and then do a final review. So my first pro is going to be high damage. Provided you're being accurate now and you're aiming for weak spots, this is going to take down a lot of things quite effectively and quickly. For example, boil spewers and nourishing spewers are both going to be one-shot headshots, so that's very nice. You then have the likes of warriors and troopers for the terminids and automatons respectively, and they're both one-shots alongside most light armored targets. Even the likes of scout striders, of course you can hit them from the back and it's going to be one shot, but even front on it's going to be 2 shots now, it seems, more consistently. Previously it seemed like it was usually about 3 shots, so that's great. You're also able to take out gunships in less than a full mag, so that's a nice addition, and I feel like it's an effective way to deal with them because you can do it quickly, you can reload quickly, you can just keep knocking them out. You can also take down hulks quite effectively. Of course you can target that weak spot on the back and that's going to work, but even front on, aiming at the visor, you're going to be able to take them down quite quickly. That's an issue sometimes when it comes to trying to be accurate when you're getting shot at from so many different locations. My big thing though, my favourite thing about this in terms of the high damage is going to be the rocket devastators. I feel like anybody who's fought the automatons knows how frustrating it can be to come up against rocket devastators sometimes. Whether you're going from objective to objective or just trying to run away from a patrol, when you see 3 or 4 rocket devastators hunker down into that position and start peppering you with rockets, it can be a nightmare. So it's really nice to have something like the anti-material rifle where you can sit back at a range where that's not going to be as effective and just take them out with a one-shot headshot. My next pro is going to be the ammo that the anti-material rifle comes with. It's got 6 magazines, each one have 7 rounds each. That's a lot when most of the things you're shooting at, if aiming correctly, like I have to reiterate, because if you're just shooting anywhere or missing your shots, your ammo isn't going to last you. But if you are hitting your shots in them weak spots, taking down most enemies in either 1 to maybe 4 or 5 shots, all the way up to the likes of a tank, if you're shooting at that weak spot on the back, your ammo is going to last a long time. Paired with a supply pack, personally I do prefer the jump pack. I like getting into them unreachable spots and setting up like that, and I feel like the ammo lasts long enough regardless without it. But if you do have a supply pack, you've pretty much got indefinite ammo. You can stay at a far enough range where shots that are coming back at you aren't going to be that effective and just take out a lot of targets. Moving on to my next pro, and it's a bit of a niche one, but it's going to be the rate of fire. This isn't a bolt action sniper rifle, it's semi-automatic. I believe that's correct, let me know down below in the comments. But because of this, the rate of fire is extremely quick. You can probably mag dump in about 2 or 3 seconds. So this presents a very unique window of opportunity if you happen to come across a charger or a hulk and you're up close and personal. If you get around to the back of them where their weak spot is, you can suddenly take them out very, very quickly. It's not as if you're going to be completely useless if you're that close to them. Now, while it's not something that's probably recommended or the main use of this weapon, it is nice to have that ability. And the final pro, of course I have to mention it because we have a sniper rifle, it's going to be the range that you're effective at. You've got a 200 meter scope. I believe that that's the most magnified scope you can get in the game, and the highest one, the only one that there is, that's 200 meters. I think next after that is maybe 100 meters or 150 meters at most. Now, a lot of people wouldn't take the time to use the 200 meter scope, I understand that you're going to be further away from your team. You're going to have to take more time to set up in somewhere that you're not going to be outgunned completely if you do start getting swarmed, and in a position where you can see everything that's going on and actually be effective. But if you do happen to get into that spot, it's really nice and really satisfying peppering loads of enemies from so far away and still being effective. If done correctly though, you're going to be safe from essentially everything other than the likes of a 380 orbital barrage. I don't think you can ever be safe from them. And you're also going to be able to really help out your teammates by calling out any patrols that are coming in and taking out larger enemies. You're going to have the time to do so. There's going to be no panic, and it's just a fun, different way to play. Now let's take a look at some cons. So the first one is just the anti-material rifle against bugs in general. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not really sure what it is. Part of me before using would have thought, because the bugs are usually more shorter ranged, I would have preferred to be further away using this anti-material rifle as opposed to fighting the automatons. I think it's majorly down to the hitboxes that the automatons have over the bugs. It's a lot clearer where you need to go and aim for the automatons. It's always that red skull or that red sort of dot or square that's on their bodies, whereas for the bugs sometimes it's not as obvious, and even when it is and when you know what it is, like for example the charger with the legs being the weak spot, it just seems ineffective at times. And against titans it also doesn't work compared to the automatons, bile titans that is. Sorry, let me just preface. But for the automatons it works against devastators, it works against hulks, it works against tanks, it works against cannons, it works against scout striders. Majority of things, gunships, other than dropships, fabricators, you can pretty much take down everything. Moving on to the next con, and I would call it the accuracy or the skill needed to use this weapon. In my opinion, it's a very skill based weapon. It's not something that's as forgiving as, for example, a quasar cannon or a recoilless rifle, where you don't have to be as specific about where you're aiming. Whereas this, if you're not hitting weak spots, you're going to burn through your ammo in no time. I know I mentioned that earlier as a pro, and it definitely is when compared to weapons that it's similar to. It comes with a lot more ammo, but that's the caveat that this weapon comes with. You have to be targeting weak points to be effective. If you're not, enemies that were taking 1 to 4 shots could suddenly take 2 mags to take down, and when you only have 6, that's not something you can afford to do. And my final con ties into what I was talking about previously in terms of accuracy, and that's the misalignment of the scope. I'm nearly sure that this is still a thing, but if you scope in with the anti-material rifle, you've got your circle that's right in the middle and you've got the lines going through it, so it should be in the very, very center of that where your bullet goes. But where your bullet actually goes is in between the north and west line on the very outside of the circle that's in the middle. Of course, that's going to be very frustrating when the weapon is so accuracy dependent on being effective and you don't have an accurate crosshair. In conclusion, I honestly think that the anti-material rifle is such an overlooked and underrated weapon, perhaps because it's unlocked so early on in the game. I do think that it's one of the stratagems that requires a lot more skill, and you need to majorly adjust your playstyle in order to make it as effective as possible. It's a thin line between not rushing in where you get overwhelmed by enemies, but also not sitting back in positions where you won't be able to assist your teammates effectively. Its biggest downfall is against the bugs. Don't get me wrong, it's very effective against the spewers, but it can take out bile titans and shrieker nests, and I feel like they play such a big part on the higher difficulty missions. Also, the misalignment of the scope can be irritating and does need to be addressed. That being said, it's very, very good against the automatons. It can take out most threats extremely quickly, accuracy dependent of course, and I actually find the adjustment in playstyle to be quite refreshing. A YouTuber called Reapy Ron said it best in my opinion. People called the anti-material rifle a worse version of the railgun at a time when the railgun was the best weapon in the game. That's pretty high praise in my opinion. And like Reapy said, that was at a time when the railgun was the best weapon in the game. It's since received a nerf. It's not much of a nerf, but meanwhile the anti-materiel rifle has received a 30% increase in damage. So if there was ever a time to give it a try, especially when we're so focused on the automaton front, I would definitely recommend giving it a go. But other than that, I'm going to end the video here. So if you did enjoy, please subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Comment down below if there's anything in particular you'd like me to review, and I'll see you all in the next one.